President, Mr. Hiller, earlier it was said, hey, if we sent this to the CGS, they would just say the same thing that's already been said. Do you think that's accurate? Is that true?
I don't think that is necessarily true. And the reason is that there are, as I've said, a number of things that the CTL Thompson report did not identify and therefore did not mitigate. I'm sure that the CGS will be very interested to know about the steeply dipping bedrock on site because it can destroy retaining walls and snap them like they're twigs. So you can engineer all you want, but you will not stop a landslide the size of Columbine Avenue from coming down the hill.
How would they know about that if it's not in the CTL report?
The CGS does their own research, and they've been studying this for many years. And what I would expect the CGS to do is to identify the shortcomings of the report and offer solutions to those shortcomings. That would be additional study, additional survey, additional analysis. They would not come back with a recommendation that says this site is exactly A, B, or C. They would say, you didn't collect enough data for us to be sure that this is okay. I would agree with that. Chris Rudnick would agree with that. And frankly, the CGS, based on their very cagey responses to me, I think they do agree with that.
So my next question was what benefit could come from sending it up there to a CGS? But it sounds like what you're saying is they could identify weaknesses in this study and make recommendations. You should also look at this.
That is their function in the land use review. Know that in Boulder and Jefferson County, you must send these to the CGS. We're the oddball that says we want to keep it to ourselves. There's nothing wrong with third-party reviews. They shouldn't be shied away from.
Thank you.
Councilmember O'Malley.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
My question, you're not an insurance expert, but do insurance companies come to you, people like yourself, to kind of make a actuarial assessment of whether or not this is, a viable, project for them to insure?
Thank you for that. A wide variety of companies have come to me with those sorts of questions. Transcontinental pipeline companies, highway companies, offshore construction, that is Shell, BP, Chevron, Apache Oil, Dominion Power Company out of Virginia. I led the geohazards analysis for the entire CVOW wind project. So that's 20 square miles of wind turbines to be installed in some very inhospitable terrain. The unfortunate fact of this job in geohazards is that sometimes people spend $1 billion just to find out they can't do something. And somebody like me has to sit in a boardroom with a lot of very angry people and tell them, I'm sorry, it's not personal. The rock's dipping too much. The hazards are too much. If you try to do this here, well, no one can predict the future, but if you try to do this here, you are putting people and assets and actual human beings. I mean, you heard from them today. The reason that I got so concerned was not because the map said landslide area. That gave me a little bit of concern. What got me concerned was every person on Columbine Avenue showing me something more and more concerning. And finally, when the guy said, half my house fell off, I went, well, this is not a good site. It's not stable, clearly. And so cutting into it, when they say they're not going to disturb the hill, well, what do you think retaining walls are? They're going to disturb the hill. They're going to remove 6 feet of natural sediment on the building site. So while that 6 feet is removed, all those unknown geologic processes are at work. This is not mentioned in their report. We had Bill Hoffman say that everything's okay, but again, it's not in the report. The code doesn't say ask Bill Hoffman. The code says identify these hazards and provide mitigation. It doesn't matter who you are. Rocks don't care who you are or what zip code you're in. You just have to say, this is the reality of the site. These are the mitigating circumstances. And sometimes the best way to mitigate a landslide is to avoid it. That is, don't build here. Thank you.
Thank you.